How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Hey. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's Spirit Experience. How are you doing? I'm Rosemary Nonny Knight. I am the Prosperity Minister and ambitious spiritual, no, I'm business coach to ambitious spiritual people determined to make at least 5 to 10K whilst using their skills, their wisdom, and all of that stuff to create, um, to teach, to help other people, and all of that. Okay. Um, to find out more about what I do, first thing to do is get a copy of my book, The Money Manifestation Mastery and Strategic Divine Guidance book. You can see it at the link in my bio, or you can message me the word book. As always, we're going to be looking at hello, 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 and thank you. As always, we're going to be looking at a divine download today. Okay, and then after that divine download, we will disseminate that. Today's topic is all about belonging or being free, which is called the brutal choice that we must make. Okay, people. Okay, here's the divine download. Within yourself, you hear my voice. This is the divine speaking to you. Within yourself, you hear my direction. You have learned to ignore it, for it sometimes goes against what you believe to be true. It sometimes goes against what the people around you believe to be true. And you long to be accepted, to belong, and so you allow my words within you to be ignored. I understand, and I also hear your longing for a deeper, more intimate connection to me and a greater awareness of who you really are. Unfortunately, these desires are in contrast to your need to be like everyone around you. You have felt different already, and you sense that deeper intimacy with me will lead to you feeling even more different. It possibly will. Some people around you will surprise you as they embrace your new ideas and thoughts, but a lot may not be ready to deal with this new enhanced version of you. You get to decide what is most important to you. You get to choose how much you will allow yourself to hear. The answers you seek are available. Do you really want them? So that is the divine download. Let's look at this, okay? So the divine starts by saying, within yourself, you hear my voice. Within yourself, you hear my direction, which means, yeah, all of us are hearing something from the divine, okay? All of us are hearing something from the divine, but sometimes what you're hearing might disturb the life that you're trying to keep together. So it might question your religion. It might question your family culture. It might question the role you've been playing. It might question your career, your relationships, the way you make money. It might question the version of you that everybody is familiar with. And so a lot of ambitious spiritual people at this point get stuck. Because as much as you long for that deeper intimacy with the divine, as much as you want to understand how reality works, as much as you want to understand money manifestation and all of that stuff, as much as you want to know your purpose and live in it, you also long to belong. You want to be accepted. You don't want people to misunderstand what you're about. You don't want to lose anyone. You don't want to be looked at as rebellious or strange or backslidden or arrogant or selfish or whatever. You don't want people to call you this stuff. And so you end up choosing, well, this is the choice. This is the choice. Because the divine is saying that these desires or to belong are in contrast to your need or your desire to know the divine more, to know reality more, blah, 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 all of that. Okay. So the question becomes, will you acknowledge what you're hearing, even if it goes against everything you know or have been told is true? And I remember when I got really serious about living in my purpose, this was, I don't know, quite a few years ago now. And that was I remember having this distinct moment with the divine and being asked this question, will you, because I hear you saying that you want to do all these things and you want to be used by me and all that stuff, because I was still at that point very much at church, and it was all about being used by the divine and being used by God and all of that. And the divine saying, will you say the things that I'm asking you to say, even if they go against everything you've been told is true? Even if they go against what is familiar, will you say that? Will you say those things? And at that point, of course, I said, yes, yes, of course I will. But the true test of that response then started coming through over the years. So I remember having to, or feeling like I needed to start talking about things like sex, because I had had this whole experience with the divine where, yeah, we were dealing with my sexuality and all of that stuff. And some of the things that the divine was telling me went against what I'd been told my whole life at church. In fact, I'd spent a lot of time. I wrote all these blog posts about it at the time, anyway, and and it went very much against everything I'd been brought up to believe about sex. And but for me, it brought me such freedom, such crazy freedom. And the divine is then saying, okay, so will you say the things that I'm teaching you? Even though you know it goes against everything. And actually, because I started writing about this stuff, it did cause issues for me in my religion, basically. But it was more important to me to be free. It was more important to me to know the divine more and not to limit what the divine was allowed to do in my life, or what the divine was allowed to say to me. It was more important to me to keep deepening that connection to the divine than it was to please everybody else in my life. But it was still scary. It was still scary. Then there were questions about religion. There was questions about my religion, and so that as well became something where it's like, oh my gosh, these things that I believed since birth practically are now coming up for question. So am I going to go with the divine, or am I going to go with what I've always known? Then it was about family and relationships and all of that. Will I go with what I've been told in my family is the way to do things, or will I go with what the divine is trying to show me? And it really did feel for a period of time there like every major area of my life was being questioned. Things that I thought I had mastered came under question. And what I was hearing from the divine, especially now that I'd started to take my filters off, because for a lot of us, we have these filters. The divine is only allowed to say certain things that fit within a certain box. And if it doesn't fit within that certain box, then, oh no, it's not the divine. It might be the devil, or it might be something else, or it might, who knows? Okay. But so I was being questioned. Will I have the courage to stand with by my convictions that this is what the divine is saying to me? Or will I just return to the fold, whatever the fold was at that time? And for me, it was almost like I'd seen the kingdom. I couldn't go back. But the temptation always was there to go back. Ultimately, it did feel, as I said, it felt like I was having to question these things. And for some of y'all, that will be the thing. We're going to look at 5 questions that I definitely had to ask myself. And you may have to ask yourself these questions. Not everybody's going to need to ask themselves these questions, but you may need to. If you are serious about continually growing spiritually, continually growing materially as well, then you may need to answer these questions definitely. Number 1 is this. Would I deepen my connection to my religious organization and be liked and respected there? Or will I deepen my connection to the divine and understanding deeper truth about myself, about reality, and about the divine? Okay, so the summary question in some ways is like, will you stop where religion, church, pastor, scripture, doctrine, or religious respectability tells you to stop? Or will you go directly to source and keep listening, even when what you hear contradicts what you were told was sacred? And I did feel like I had to choose whether I would go beyond what, because I was brought up Christian, Catholic Christian, blah, 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 all of that, all mixed up together. Well, actually, no, I walked away from Catholicism when I came to the UK. That was when I was about 17 or something, and I decided to just go pure Christian. And at this point, because I'd done a few little, as I was going deeper with the divine, yeah, there were just questions coming up. And so it got to the point where it was almost like if I am going to continue to go deeper with the divine, if I'm going to continue to, yeah, go deeper with the divine and understand how reality truly works, then I'm going to have to decide. Yeah, decide. And in some ways, the sacred text says in the Bible and all of that I grew up reading says actually that because Jesus actually says in there that he didn't come to repair relationships, that husband might be set against wife and blah blah blah, mother against child and all of this, but when you actually have to live it, it's a different kind of thing altogether. It's a different thing altogether. Okay, so I did feel like I had to live these things out, that if I wanted to continue to go deeper with the divine, I was going to have to really question some of the things that I had accepted as truth, and also give up, because I was a leader at church and all of this stuff, and give up all of that. And for some of y'all, that might be the question that you need to answer. And you might be worried about answering that question, or you try to avoid answering that question because it might mean you losing all your friends. For me, I know most of my friends were within my religious organization because that was my life. It was scary. It was scary. And so, yeah, was I going to believe in a static text as having all the answers rather than trusting myself to go directly to the divine and uncover more and more of what reality was about, more and more about what the divine was about, more and more about myself? That was the question. Are you being asked that same question? Okay. Number two question that you may need to answer is fulfilling your duties to your extended family or fulfilling your destiny. What is most important to you? To fulfill your duties to your extended family or fulfill your destiny? So, some family systems call control love. Some call you being obedient to the family system, that's you being grateful, being thankful for everything everybody else has done for you. Or they might expect you to pay for their sacrifice. So your parents might be, because I know I've had clients who are staying with specific jobs or specific careers because their parents paid a lot to train them. And the idea of saying to their parents, well, I'm sorry, but I don't want to do this anymore, they just can't imagine saying that. So they would rather sacrifice their destiny than sacrifice the approval from their family. In some people's cases, not everybody. They usually come to me because they're trying to find the courage to actually choose themselves. It's not easy. It's not easy. And so for some of y'all, you might belong to families where your inheritance is very much tied up in you staying and ticking all the boxes and doing everything that you're told to do. I've had clients where this is the case as well, where they would love to do certain things that appeal to them, that appeal to their heart, that they feel called to do, but it goes against what their family has told them that they must do if they're going to have an inheritance of any kind. Okay, and so it scares them, and because love in that family setting is transactional. You do this, we will love you. If you don't do this, we will not love you, and we might even completely disown you. Actually, ultimately, because you're not doing what we want you to do. And this could be like your sexuality as well. You can't come out of the closet because if you do, your family will disown you, and you don't want to be disowned. And so you're stuck in the closet, trying doing lots of secretive things, which takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy not to be yourself, basically, and you can't seem to move forward. So fulfilling your duties to your extended family or fulfilling your destiny. Yeah, it's for some of y'all, that might be a question that you're facing or need to face. Belong or be free. Belong or be free. You can belong, but only if you give us the edited version of you. You can be free, but you may have to stop belonging to the people who only loved the very caged and tamed version of you. Now, belonging to the tribe, whether it's a religious tribe, whether it's a familiar tribe or friendship tribe or even a job tribe, basically, it can mean for a lot of you that you need to give up the freedom to discover your own path, you to do what you want to do it when you want to do it, to work only with people you want to work with. The freedom that you keep claiming that you would like would mean that you'd have to stop belonging to whatever tribe you feel most aligned with. That's a question you may ask or may need to answer. Because freedom is only allowed, and is it freedom if it's only allowed when you fit within the lines that others have set for you? Is it really freedom? So you get the choice. What is more important to you? Is it to be free or is it to belong? That's number 3. Number 4, what is more important to you? Is it chronic unfulfillment or temporary discomfort? Chronic unfulfillment or temporary discomfort? Now, I like to split ambitious spiritual people, or in fact, people, into 3 kind of stages. It's quite a generalization. Stage 1, blissfully ignorant. Stage 2, painfully awake. Stage 3, practical mystic. Stage 1 and stage 2, most of y'all listening to me are probably in stage 2. Okay, you're painfully awake. You know that you can create your own reality. You know lots of spiritual principles, but you haven't actually managed to make them work completely for you. And so it feels quite painful because you can see the truth, you know the truth, but you can't make the truth work. or you haven't figured out how to actually make it work in your life. It's quite a painful, stage two is quite painful. It's almost better to be stage one, which is why a lot of people return to stage one, which is blissfully ignorant, where suddenly, because so you make these choices that are not comfortable in the moment. So, like the 3 points I made earlier, where you're making choices about your family or about your religious organization or whatever tribe you've belonged to, whether you're going to belong to it some more or you're going to be free. But those choices create pain, particularly temporary pain, but it doesn't feel temporary when you're experiencing it. Okay, and so the pain can make you wonder if you're mistaken in the choices that you're making. Okay, and if things don't immediately pan out, you're really stuck in stage two. So you've made the choice to kind of get rid of certain things that are no longer working for you, or certain relationships that are no longer working for you, or certain religion that is no longer working for you. But you're in this middle limbo land where you're not quite at the goals where everything is working for you, but you're also giving up what was familiar. So yes, when you were in stage one, because you probably got to the point where you were no longer blissfully ignorant, you are now at this point where you are painfully ignorant. Basically, which is what caused you to come up to stage two, where you for a little period you were excited about everything you were learning until you realized that you couldn't quite make it work for you. This is a painfully awakened stage, or part of stage two. But so things don't always pan out the moment you learn new things. Things don't always immediately work just because you now know how things work, because the physical reality needs a certain amount of time to transition into the new experience that you're seeking to create. In that period of time, it's very uncomfortable. It's very emotionally tense and painful, if you're honest. And so at this point, people they say, "Oh, I'm going back to stage one." They don't say, "I'm going back to stage one." They tell themselves, "Oh, I better to repent." Particularly if you're religious, then you need to repent. You better just tell everybody that you backslid and go back into the fold, because you tell all kinds of stories about how, of course, you were not hearing the divine. It was just you making things up, and you were deceiving yourself, and you just need to go back into the fold where it was. You remember it being very unfulfilling, and it was, and frankly, there was no way out. You knew you were going to be unfulfilled until you died. But when you're in this temporary tense discomfort of making your way to stage three, where you're going to be that practical mystic, and you're not there yet, in this place, you suddenly think about the good old days when I was completely surrendered to God and everything was fine, and I had friends and everybody loved me. And if I just repent, maybe everything will go back to that. But you forget how unfulfilled you felt then. And so you start talking about the good old days. And so next thing you know, you're back to stage one. Basically, you tell yourself, "Oh no, I was wrong. I was wrong. Because if I was right, then everything would have worked. All the doors would have opened. It would have been easy. Every part of my life would have been perfect. But the fact that it wasn't must mean that the divine didn't want me to be. So I must have been mistaken. And I'm now I backslidden. Please pray for me." This is, of course, if you're Christian. It might be a different way. It might be you just going back to your family and saying, "I'm really sorry for acting in that way. I don't know what came over me. Whatever." Ultimately, you go back to where you were. It's only a matter of time before that chronic unfulfillment comes back. But in the moment of relief, it feels like, "Oh, this is a better choice." Except going back, it's so much harder to then have to tell everybody again that, "Actually, no, I was right. I need to leave you all again. Goodbye." So yeah, it's probably best not to make that choice. But a lot of people do, okay? Because it does get uncomfortable when you're transitioning, when you're growing, when you're becoming more, it gets uncomfortable. And yeah, you start looking back at the good old days and telling yourself, "Oh, it was easier then." But it wasn't. If anything, there was no end to the prison you were in before. So it's like, for me, I know I've seen the kingdom. I'm not saying that everything has always worked out immediately. No. Some things I've had to wait for. Some things I'm still waiting for. And yet I will not return to where I came from. Because I remember what that felt like. And yes, it's so easy, as I say, you can tell yourself, "Oh, maybe I was making a mistake. Oh, maybe I wasn't hearing the divine. Oh. No. Freedom at the start doesn't feel great. It feels uncomfortable when you're coming out of bondage. At least in bondage, you knew the rules. You could read your sacred text and interpret it the way you needed to interpret it. It gave you a sense of foundation. It gave you a sense of belonging, even if it didn't seem to make much sense, and you started questioning it and you wanted to get out of it, or when it comes to your family or whatever, same thing. Some of the cultural demands on you, you question them. You're not sure why you're doing this stuff, but everybody does it, so you just go along with it. You forget all of that, of course, when you've walked away and you're discovering freedom, but it feels tense. So yeah, you return. So the question becomes again, what is more important to you? Are you going to stick with chronic unfulfillment whilst telling yourself, oh, that must be the way? Or will you go through the temporary discomfort of getting yourself to that practical mystic state? Will you learn to, instead of making the physical reality your comfort zone, your connection to the divine becomes your comfort zone? The physical reality is always going to be moving, always going to be changing. When you stay in the old ways of doing things, in the caged ways, you hope that if you obey the rules that everything will work, and it works to a certain extent. And so as long as you're willing to settle, then I suppose you can make the most of it. It doesn't always feel great, but you make the most of it and you explain everything away. Where was I going with this? But yes, making that transition, it does feel uncomfortable, no doubt about it. But will you let your comfort be in your connection to the divine instead of what is happening in the physical reality? Will you learn to trust the divine and yourself and stay on the throne, is what I like to call it. The throne doesn't always feel comfortable, particularly when you're in that state of expansion. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep looking back at the good old days and forget how horrible those good old days felt? Or will you just lean on the divine and keep going? Number 5, will you just make money, or will you make money whilst living luxuriously in your purpose? Because, yeah, you can always just sell, and I'll explain this. You can always just sell a light bulb. I'll explain what that means. You can always just go make money in a way that doesn't actually require your soul. That's kind of what selling a light bulb is means. But your assignment, your calling, is not just to make money. It's to make money in a way that feels really good to you, to your soul, to what you are called and meant for. So, yeah, what is more important to you? Just make money anyhow, or make money in a way that feels good? And yeah, the truth is, in some ways, it's particularly when you haven't mastered the whole concept of making money in your purpose. In some ways, it feels easier just to sell a light bulb or whatever you consider equivalent to that, which is something, a product that is in no way associated with your purpose. Okay. So it's just you selling somebody else's product or selling a product you've made that isn't you, because it's like becoming a coach or a spiritual teacher or whatever. It demands, particularly when it's your purpose work, it demands a lot from you. It demands you to face yourself. And so in some ways it's almost easier just to make money any old house, to stick with a career that doesn't. It's like being a pharmacist, I could be a pharmacist forever and make money that way forever without it affecting me in any way. However, when it came to, and I did that with pharmacy, I did that with property. Within 18 months, I was making multi six figures with my property business, because it didn't mean anything about me. I was just, putting people in properties and all of that. It wasn't me. Whereas coming to become a coach, a teacher, healer, it was almost like people were questioning me. And if there's any part of you that doesn't feel that you are worthy, it's so difficult to figure out how you're going to make money doing your purpose work. To decide that you will live in your purpose and refuse to do it any less than luxuriously is a difficult choice for a lot of people to make. Okay, it almost is easier to listen to all those people talking about, oh, let's go and sell some crypto, or let's go and do real estate, or let's go and do, what's the other thing that people oh yeah, I'll do my own online business, which is all well and good. These things all work, but is it your purpose work? So yeah, is it more important to you to just make money on your old how, or would you like to make money in a way that really grows you? Because it is possible. It is absolutely possible. It is, but it's your choice, of course. There's always a way to make money doing what you love, as long as you're willing to put a clear strategy behind it and follow that strategy all the way through. Now, your beliefs about yourself will really determine whether you allow yourself to do this or not. Okay. Your beliefs about whether it's actually possible will be the underlying issue. Is it possible for anybody to make money doing what they love? Is it possible? Is it possible for me to make money doing what I love? Ooh. Am I allowed to make money from what I'm called to do? Will the divine think I'm greedy? Will people think I'm greedy? Will they just think I'm all about the money? Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm supposed to give away all my gifts for free. Okay, and there's all these kind of beliefs that spiritual people have, all these rules about when you're supposed to make money and not supposed to make money, and blah, blah, blah. And the question becomes, are you going to keep allowing those rules to determine whether you actually allow yourself to make money in a way that feels good to you, that grows you? Or will you just, I just don't care. I'm just going to make money any old how. I'll stick with the career I hate because at least it makes me money. I will do that business that I don't like because at least it makes me money. I will, I will chase after that get rich quick scheme over there. Personally, I have no issue with you getting rich quick. I just don't want you to be taken in by something that tells you that it's going to be easy. When the truth of the matter is that it takes the same energy to build a business you hate as it does to build a business you like. It takes the same energy to build a purpose-led income path as it takes to build a non-purpose-led income path. The difference is that with the purpose-led income path, you'll probably need to do a little bit more or a lot more inner work about believing in yourself and trusting yourself and all of that stuff. Whereas when you're just building a nameless, faceless, not really about me kind of business, you probably don't need to do anything much. You still need to master actually building a business, okay? But it's different. And for some of you, you know the difference because you've tried and you've just not been able to get the energy together to stay on path until you've made it successful. Okay. And with the spiritual people come with these crazy ideas that then ends you up with you underpricing your work, okay, or refusing to clarify what you're offering and just using big words like alignment and big, I don't know, spiritual words which hardly anybody understands what it's all about. So then you wonder why it's not selling is because you're not being clear, and you don't want to be clear because that feels too confrontational to be too clear about what it is you're selling. So it's easier to say, I don't know what my ideal client is, or I don't know who my ideal client is, and I don't know what I'm about, and blah, blah, blah. But actually, the divine asked me, the divine is asking you, I'm asking you, what is more important to you? Just to make money any old how or give up? Or make money whilst living luxuriously in your purpose? So not just I'm going to live in my purpose, but you're going to make money whilst doing so and refusing to settle for anything less. Doing whatever work is necessary to get over any fears about whether I'm allowed to do it. Will you do that? That's the question. So those are 5 kind of questions that you're being asked. Just to go over them very quickly here, but listen to this again. Will you deepen your connection to your religious system and be liked and respected there? Or will you deepen your connection to the divine and understand truth about yourself, about the divine, about reality? Which is more important to you? Number 2, is it more important to you to fulfill your duties to your extended family or to fulfill your destiny? Is it more important to you to belong or to be free? Is it more important to you to just kind of keep going through? I don't know if it's a more important question, but it's definitely a question you need to answer. Chronic unfulfillment or temporary discomfort? Chronic unfulfillment or temporary discomfort? Are you just going to make money doing any old thing, or are you going to make money whilst living your purpose? What is most important to you? So these questions will come up as they started, in the divine download. That's what the divine is saying to you, because there's lots of things the divine could be saying to you, but if you haven't answered these questions, you will refuse to hear what the divine is saying to you. You have lots of revelations, lots of insights, but you don't want to speak about them. You don't want to allow them to impact your life because you're worried about what choice you will have to make in order for them to truly impact your life. You get to decide, as the divine says here, you get to decide what is most important to you. You get to choose how much you will allow yourself to hear. Because the answers you seek or you say you're seeking are available. Do you really want them? Really? Okay, and on that note, guys, we're going to finish by saying the love prayer together. Let me get that up. If you are on Facebook or wherever you might be listening to this and can see my screen, then you will see this. Well, as soon as I actually remember how to share my screen. Here we go. Okay, so let's say this together. And for some of y'all, where it's feeling as if you're just lacking the courage right now to make those choices, say this prayer with that conviction that you're asking the divine to give you courage to be you. Your love dissolves all doubt. Your love dissolves all fear. Your love keeps me focused. Your love keeps me clear. Your love dissolves all guilt. Your love dissolves all shame. Your love keeps me focused. Your love keeps me in the game. Your love dissolves regret. Your love dissolves despair. Your love restores my hope, my peace, my joy. Your love restores my youth and my years. Your love dissolves resentment and envy. Your love dissolves hate and rage. Your love dissolves any bitter root within me. Your love rebuilds my self-trust and my faith. Your love flows freely through me right now, resolving, dissolving, evolving. Your love flows freely through me right now, harmonizing and adjusting. Your love flows freely through me right now, resolving, dissolving, evolving. Your love makes me magnetic to the desires of my heart. Take a moment. See that goal that you're working towards. See it complete. See that big vision you're choosing to bring to life. See it complete. Let divine love flow over it, making you more magnetic to its physical equivalent. I feel your love propelling me forward into greater and greater financial prosperity right now. Money, wealth, riches are flooding into my life from everywhere and in great abundance with ease and with speed. Thank you. And until the next time, my loves, if you haven't got a copy of my book, The Money Manifestation Mastery and Strategic Divine Guidance book, go to the link in my bio or message me the word book and I'll get that over to you. It's been a pleasure as always doing this with you. Share this with somebody else. Until the next time, much amazing love. Go forth and prosper. Bye.